Do you think life in the West is hard today? You have no idea. Debt might be crazy. Inflation is unreasonable. The debt to GDP is getting out of hand. But on the other hand, the West is still the land of cheap milk and honey. Bangladesh, on the other hand, not so much. The country is overcrowded, it's extremely loud, and it's very polluted. The water quality is abysmal, and the air is toxic to breathe. Now, I've got this video that came from NVL Travel Documentary. It came out a little while ago, about a month ago. It's already sitting pretty good, over 100,000 views, so I thought I'd give this a listen, and let's see what it's all about. Life in Bangladesh, the most toxic country in the world. So let's see what this is all about. Bangladesh. It's next to India, by the way. It's just east of India. Bangladesh. I think it's actually the most overcrowded country in the world, square mileage-wise, like in density.
Wake up to the sound of 1,000 horns. The air outside is
Everybody
thick,
constantly
not with
beeping their
fog,
horn.
but with smoke, dust, and exhaust. And
Dude,
as
that
the
would drive
sun
me nuts.
rises over the crowded rooftops, millions of people are already on the move.
That's a lot of people. That is a lot of people.
Not for leisure, not
Yeah,
for
here you go.
adventure, but simply to survive.
Yep,
This
just
is
east of
Dhaka,
India.
the heart of Bangladesh.
Damn.
A city where 20 million people live side by side, shoulder to shoulder, breath to breath, in what's now
grief.
considered one of the most polluted and densely packed places on Earth. But here's the contradiction. In a place where clean water is rare and fresh air even rarer, where poverty is crushing and opportunity feels just out of reach, people still smile, still dream, still fight for something better.
Well, of course they do. Like, isn't there something like there's a study somewhere that says that in the third world, generally people are happier than people in the first world. Like in the first world, they're hopelessly depressed. They've got too much anxiety. There's all this ADHD and autism and all this mental health craziness going on in the West. Whereas over in third world countries, they don't really deal with any of that. They're just happy to wake up and see the sun rise again. That kind of mentality. Like, hey, I'm living, I'm breathing. I ate breakfast this morning. You know, life is good.
So here's the question.
Even if you only
How
make
does life go on
like
when the
$6
world
a
around
day?
you seems to be falling apart? And more importantly,
It's like people in the West are just way too
what can we
uptight.
learn from those who live in the harshest conditions, yet still refuse to give up? Let's find out together.
Let's find out, man. Let's go.
Number 1, Bangladesh, the battle for survival in a world of chaos.
Battle for survival.
Over 170 million people squeezed onto a
dang,
narrow
dude.
strip of land. Streets packed like sardines.
170
Air
million.
so
That's like
thick
half
with
the
dust
U.S.
it feels like
population.
breathing through a cloth. But in the middle of all this chaos are people fighting to live every single day. Welcome to Bangladesh, a country bursting at the seams with life, struggle, and resilience. And at the heart of it all lies Dhaka.
I mean, you think if the air was that
capital
polluted,
city.
they would have just kept their
A place
COVID
that
mask.
doesn't just
Everybody's
beat to
walking
the
around with that
rhythm of
mask
honking
these days, it
horns
looks
and
like.
hurried footsteps, but to the pulse of millions pushing through the noise to make it to tomorrow.
I don't know, though. It fucking sucks wearing a mask,
This
though.
journey isn't just
It's
about
annoying as
visiting
hell.
another place on the map. It's about stepping into someone else's shoes.
I mean, I'll wear one if I got a
walking
cold
their
or
streets,
something,
breathing
you know.
their air,
I don't got a problem with
feeling
that.
their weight. So we don't
Or if
just
the air
see how
quality
they
is
live,
abysmal.
but truly understand what it takes to survive here. You see, Dhaka isn't just crowded. It's one of the most densely populated cities on the planet. As of early 2025, more than 23 million people call this bustling metropolis home. That's like cramming the entire population of Florida into a city smaller than Houston.
Good grief.
And with nearly
can relate to that 'cause
12,000
I live in
people
Florida.
living per square kilometer,
Never been to
finding space
Houston,
to
but
breathe
I'm
is
sure
a
it's
luxury.
I'm
But
sure
it's not
as
just
big
the
as
crowds.
it seems.
The air itself is an everyday battle.
Land-wise.
According to the World Air Quality Index, Dhaka consistently ranks among the
I don't
top
know, though,
5
dude.
most
Houston is
polluted
pretty damn
cities
big.
worldwide, with PM 2.5 levels. That's the really dangerous stuff you
population of
can't
Florida
even
and
see,
Houston? Damn,
often
dude.
soaring to 6 or even 7 times the recommended safe limit. Imagine waking up every morning knowing the air outside is slowly hurting you. Yet still, life must go on. So
See, that's what irritates me about this whole like EPA and trying to keep the U.S. clean, and then constantly scolding us about how our coal plants aren't clean enough and how we're polluting, and you know, this whole like, you know, bashing us over the head with climate change constantly over and over again. But all of these companies, they're sent off overseas. We lose all these jobs, over the last several decades. A lot of the reason because the EPA set these impossible regulations. So these companies are like, fuck it, I'll just go to a country where I don't have to worry about all that shit. I don't have to spend countless millions of dollars trying to fortify my factory to make it, carbon neutral or whatever the hell the buzzword is today. So they just send it off to some third world country and they just pollute the hell out of that place because they can just run rampant because there's nobody there to keep them in check. So you would think that they would. I mean, I'm not saying that they should be free to pollute as they please. I'm not necessarily saying that. I don't know. It's just kind of a conundrum. I mean, but there's a lot of pollution happening in Bangladesh, a lot of air pollution. Yet we do buy a lot of stuff from there, I'm assuming. I'm sure I can open up my closet. And I'm sure I've got some clothes that were made in Bangladesh. So, I mean, do I protest Bangladesh and just quit buying clothes from Bangladesh or buy goods that come from Bangladesh? And if you do that, then you're going to be putting people there out of work because nobody's buying their products anymore. So it's kind of a lose-lose. I'm not really sure how they go about fixing that.
Because behind every
I guess the
statistic
Bangladeshi government would have to step up and start cracking down on all this pollution bullshit.
We're here to uncover those stories, to meet the street vendors who rise before dawn to sell tea by the roadside.
But how much of that's cultural, though?
The garment workers who
does the everyday person in Bangladesh, do they
wages of just a few dollars a day?
Not really have the concept of a trash can. They just throw a wrapper off the side of the road when they're done with whatever they're eating.
This journey is about more than observation. It's about connection, about shedding light on a reality many turn a blind eye to. It's about witnessing human resilience, raw, unfiltered, and relentless, in a place where survival itself is an act of quiet rebellion. So let's dive in past the noise, through the dust, and into the heart of Bangladesh.
Let's do it.
Because sometimes the most powerful stories are born in the most unexpected places.
Ugh.
Number 2, overpopulation. Dhaka's struggle with space and sanity.
We can sift that out with a net.
Now, let's talk about what might just be Bangladesh's biggest challenge.
I'm sure if they sifted all that out, it'd be all full of trash tomorrow.
To put it into perspective, Bangladesh is only about one-fourth.
It's probably rooted in the culture, too. I mean, if they had some program where they set up trash cans all over the place, would the people use them? Would they actually use the receptacles or not? Like regular trash pickup. I mean, it's kind of shocking, actually, the amount of countries out there that don't have basic trash collection. They just don't have it. There's just no infrastructure for regular trash pickup. I mean, maybe if you live in like one of the most exclusive places in the region, if you live in some rich-ass neighborhood, you might have, trash collection, but the vast majority, like places like India and probably even China,
Vietnam,
they probably don't pick up trash in most of China.
Most
probably
populous country in the world.
I don't know.
With over 170 million people crammed into a land area barely bigger than the state of Iowa. Imagine trying to fit nearly half of the United States population
that is nuts.
Into a country the size of West Virginia.
West Virginia, huh?
It's that intense.
Yeah,
and at the heart
wild.
of this density crisis, this city alone is home to more than 20 million people. And that number keeps growing every day.
I was going to say, they're obviously producing above replacement rate. The entire
population of New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Houston into one sprawling maze of traffic, high-rises, slums, and endless construction. So what happens when there are just too many people in too little space? First, housing. You'll find entire families, 5, 6, sometimes even 7 people, packed into a tiny 10-square-meter room that's smaller than most parking spaces.
What is that
Privacy,
like?
Non-existent.
What is that, about like 40 square
Comfort,
feet roughly?
A dream.
I'm not
and
good
when
with
night
meters.
Falls,
I'm American.
Beds become floors and kitchens become bedrooms. Second, the strain on basic
That's 40
infrastructure.
Square feet. That is crazy.
Electricity outages are a daily headache. Water, not always clean, not always available. Schools are overcrowded. Hospitals are overwhelmed. And as for transportation, buckle up, because Dhaka's traffic is not for the faint of heart.
Hold on, I'm going to have to do the math on that real quick. I'm just curious, because I don't want to sound too stupid. 40 square meters to feet. Okay, there you go, 430 square feet. I knew I wasn't doing that right in my head. Not too good with numbers, as you can see. So yeah, that's about 430 square feet. I mean, I think that's probably more roomy than your average little apartment that you might get in like Tokyo. I mean, I think, don't they have like 50 square foot, 100 square foot apartments in Tokyo? You basically live in like a closet or like the equivalent of a closet. Everything's built up into the walls, like your bed comes out of the wall, and your countertops and everything, like your kitchen or dining room table or whatever. Anyway,
picture this: jam-packed buses with people hanging off the sides, rickshaws weaving through chaos, motorbikes darting like fish in a school, and cars stuck in traffic jams that last for hours. Add in a constant chorus of honking horns, and you've got a symphony of stress. It's loud, it's dangerous, and it's pushing the limits of sanity and safety.
Yeah, the honking horns are driving me crazy, man.
Every year, hundreds of thousands of people leave the countryside and head to Dhaka, chasing the promise of work and a better life. But what they often find is a new set of struggles. With nowhere else to go, many end up in rapidly expanding slums where clean water, sanitation, and security are all in short supply.
What's going to happen eventually when everybody moves from the countryside into the city and there's nobody out there farming? Or are they just having so many kids in these regions and these countries where there's just so many people that are out in the countryside still? They grow up and they just move into the city. I mean, I don't know.
Urban migration
I've always wondered
is turning
that.
the city into a pressure cooker, and the longer the pot boils, the closer we get to a crisis point.
Somebody's got to produce the food.
Amid the chaos, people still dream, still strive, still believe in a better future. And that's what makes Dhaka so unforgettable. Not just the crowds, the chaos, or the concrete, but the incredible will of its people to rise, no matter how heavy the weight.
I'll go through that after this video.
Number 3, pollution, Dhaka's silent enemy. If overpopulation is the pressure, then pollution is the silent poison. And in Dhaka, it's not just a health issue, it's a daily battle against an invisible enemy. Let's talk about the air, or more specifically, what's in the air. As of early 2025, Dhaka consistently ranks among the top 5 most polluted cities in the world, according to the World Air Quality Index.
Yeah, I think China's got a couple too.
The levels of PM 2.5, that's the fine particulate matter so small it slips deep into your lungs and even into your bloodstream, are dangerously high. On many days, the air quality index shoots past 300.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for
considered
lead,
hazardous to everyone,
that lead,
not just those with health issues.
It'll make its way up into your brain, and
so where's
once
all
it's
this
up there, it
pollution
won't go anywhere.
From? It's a mix, and none of it is pretty. First, the traffic. Remember the chaos we talked about? Now imagine most of those vehicles are old, outdated, and barely holding together. Diesel engines belching out thick black smoke, rickshaws retrofitted with illegal motors, buses with no filters. It's like the entire city is stuck in a smoggy time warp. Then there's construction, constant, uncontrolled, and everywhere. High-rises go up overnight. Dust clouds fill the air by day, and with few regulations being enforced, construction sites turn into pollution machines.
I wonder how their air currents move. Do they ever have a windy day?
And we can't forget
is there ever weather events that just sweep all that pollution just out of the area? Bangladesh is one of the world's largest
exporters of textiles, and while that
fuels
it's
gotta
the
go
economy,
somewhere.
It also fuels pollution. Many factories here operate without proper waste treatment systems, dumping chemicals into the air, the water, and the soil. It's industrial growth without guardrails, and the environment is paying the price.
Yeah, and the government should be taxing the shit out of these companies to clean up all this shit too.
Whether you're a child walking to school, a vendor selling fruit by the roadside, or a mother cooking lunch by an open window, you're breathing this in every single day. And yet people endure. They tie scarves over their faces. They keep going. Because in Dhaka, giving up is never an option.
Well, and they probably can't afford to lose these companies either. If they find them to the point where they leave, then
one that's murky,
people are out of work,
and hard to swallow.
It's a lose-lose.
Let's talk about the Buriganga River, once the lifeline of the city, now a flowing graveyard of waste. This river used to be Dhaka's pride, a place of trade, travel, and tradition.
That's not a river.
Today, it runs black as ink, choked with raw sewage, industrial chemicals, plastic waste, and rotten debris.
Are we not going to see the river?
Stand near its banks, and the stench alone is enough to turn your stomach. And yet, for thousands of people,
there we go.
This toxic river is still part of daily life. Every morning, you'll see women washing clothes by the shore, children splashing in the filth, men rinsing vegetables meant for the market. Not
Yikes.
because they want to, but because they have no other choice. Clean water is a luxury, and for many,
Washing
this
vegetables
river,
in
no matter
chemical
how
water.
dirty, is all they've got. So how did it get this bad? The answer, again, lies in unchecked growth. Factories, especially those in the textile and tanning industries,
Well, don't forget the
discharge
government
tons of
sitting on their
untreated
hands, not doing
wastewater
anything.
directly into the Buriganga. On
They're
top of that,
responsible for this shit
household
too.
sewage, much of it unfiltered, is funneled into the same water. There's no
Unless
proper
there is
drainage,
no government. Is there no
oversight,
government in
just
Bangladesh?
millions of liters
I'm
of
assuming there
pollutants
is.
dumped into a river that was never meant to carry this kind of weight. According to environmental studies published in late 2024, over 60% of Dhaka's surface water is now considered unsafe for human use.
See, it's
And
like they're
yet,
just showing
people
just
are
stock
still
footage,
forced
man.
to use it, to
That's
wash,
kind of
to
annoying.
clean,
I was hoping
and
they
in
would just show
desperate
like
cases,
footage of what they're
even to
talking
cook.
about as they're talking about
It's
it.
not just a health crisis, it's a crisis of dignity, a daily gamble between survival and sickness. And through it all, the river keeps flowing, heavy with sorrow, silent with secrets. And if the air is choking and the rivers are drowning, then the streets of Dhaka are suffocating under the weight
Whoa.
of something just
Yikes.
as destructive.
Damn, dude.
Everywhere you
Looks
look,
like food
the
waste.
signs are there. Plastic bags tangled in trees, piles of garbage clogging narrow alleyways, bottles and metal scraps floating downstream, riding the current like forgotten messages. It's not just unsightly, it's a crisis hidden in plain sight. The core problem? There's simply no effective waste management system to handle the mountain of garbage the city produces each day. Think about this. As of 2025, Dhaka generates more than 6,000 tons of solid waste every single day.
6,000 tons.
That's enough trash to fill over 300 garbage trucks daily. And yet, much of it is never collected. There aren't enough disposal
12
sites.
million pounds.
The infrastructure is outdated, and informal collection systems can only do so much. So what happens to all that waste? It ends up wherever it can, on sidewalks, in open drains, across railway tracks, and most
Exporters
tragically,
of clothing.
in the rivers and canals
doesn't
that
have to
once
do
gave life
anything
to
with
the
trash.
city. In the slums, trash piles up near homes,
That's not trash,
attracting
that's food.
disease and despair. But here's the thing.
Actually looks pretty
This
good.
isn't about laziness. It's about lack of options. When a city grows faster than its systems can
Damn,
handle,
dude's just like dunking
even
his
the
hands in that
simplest
hot
things,
oil.
like throwing something away, become a struggle. And when plastic, metal, food scraps, and hazardous waste
This
all
looks
end
like the
up in
perfect
the
time
same
to
place,
talk about rice.
it's not just an eyesore.
How much
it's a
rice
health hazard
do the
waiting to
people in
explode.
Bangladesh eat
Still,
on a daily
amid
basis?
the mess,
How many
people
metric
find
tons?
ways to adapt. Some dig through the trash looking for recyclables to sell. Others try to burn it, creating smoke that only adds to the air pollution. It's a cycle, a desperate loop, where solving one problem
Yeah, you don't
just
want to be
feeds
burning
another.
trash.
And yet, through all this, life in Dhaka doesn't stop. Because for its people, resilience isn't a choice, it's a way of life. Number 4, Korail Slum. Life
Korail
in Dhaka's
Slum.
forgotten world. Korail Slum, the largest informal settlement in Dhaka, is more than just a neighborhood. It's a world of its own, a forgotten world. Here, over 40,000 people live packed together in less than a square kilometer. That's tighter than some music festivals. Except this isn't temporary. This is home. A home without reliable electricity, without clean running water, without proper toilets. Just survival, stacked wall to wall. Picture this. Narrow walkways barely wide enough for one person, winding through a maze of shacks built from rusted tin sheets, rotting wood, and patchy plastic tarps that leak with every drop of rain. Roofs held down by bricks. Entire families sleeping on dirt floors. Privacy is a luxury. In silence, that doesn't exist. But even in these conditions, life goes on, and people hustle, hard. The adults here take on whatever work they can find. Some pull rickshaws under the blazing sun, some haul bricks and cement at construction sites, while others snacks and phone cards on the street corners. Many women work as domestic helpers, walking hours to clean homes they could never afford to live in. And the children? Their innocence is traded for income. Instead of
All
sitting in
right,
class.
I'll go ahead and stop it there. It looks like they're just replaying the stock footage over and over, doesn't it? So I'll link this in the description. I did come across something here with that Corral slum. I'll see if here, let me see if we can get a glimpse of what they're talking about with this. Let's see what this might turn up here. This is life inside the slum area in Dhaka, Bangladesh. This is Pigodo TV 6 years ago. So, I mean, it may have gotten better, it may have gotten worse. Not entirely sure. I haven't seen this, so not exactly sure what to expect. Just assuming somebody's just gonna be walking around with the camera, filming whatnot. Lady got some balloons. It's her birthday. Happy birthday. What is that, cricket? Just a wild guess. Ring, ding, dong. Ding, ding, dong. I don't know what those things are called. Things rickety. Yeah, just walking around. Oh, here we go. There's some market or some goats. A dog. People. It's just chaotic, man. It's like just people just aimlessly walking around. Like, are these kids supposed to be going that direction or what? They find themselves like 10 miles out of town. In Bangladesh. Looks like trash, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just like goods and whatnot that they got. No, that looks like trash. That looks like trash. Noisy, no doubt about that. Some of these people look pissed off that he's walking around with a camera. And dude making some food and rice. A lot of kids, man. A lot of youngsters. Yeah, I'm going to go off on a whim and say that they're way above replacement rate, whereas the West is way below.
Hello, doggy.
Yeah, that's messy. Man, a lot of eggs. Yeah, that'd be stressful as hell. Just that densely packed. I can only imagine the smell. It's just like piled up trash just right there in the middle of the street, the walkway. Street, I'd call it a street. Freaking motorbikes going up and down. the hell is that? Does that belong to you, sir? Piles of trash. I mean, like, for real, does nobody picks that up? It's just like 6 years later, is it like still sitting there? I doubt it. I'm sure somebody, though I don't know who. Maybe somebody who just gets sick of tripping over it. Maybe they just finally say fuck it, just pick it all up. Maybe just throw it off to the side. Some tea, I'm assuming.
Hello.
So yeah, there you have it. Just a little bit into the life of Bangladesh. Oh, there's a river. Yeah, very crowded. Very, very crowded. So yeah, there you go. There's Bangladesh. Very overcrowded country. Very, very busy. Here's it's where you can find it on the world map. This over here would be India. I'm going to zoom out just in case you're not familiar with where Bangladesh is. That's Bangladesh. So it's near China, near Nepal, India, Myanmar, Burma. So yeah, it's kind of nestled in there in the Bay of Bengal. And so over here, I've got some info from Global Finance. Bangladesh. This includes historical data for Bangladesh's gross domestic product growth, debt to GDP ratio, and more, as well as information on trade, banking, and financial sector leadership. So the rising prosperity, but challenges remain. And we got some information there. The nation, about 170 million people. It is making progress, but it still has quite a long way to go in terms of progressing out of just the pollution, the toxicity that they find themselves in with the air and the water and the chemicals and all that craziness. It's just all a result of just crazy manufacturing, it seems. A lot of just production. But anyway, the type of government, it's parliamentary republic. They have a parliament. And Dhaka, that's the capital. Population, median age is only 27 years old. Wow. I think the median age in the U.S. has got to be in the 40s. Per capita income, very low, about $10,000 a year. Although their GDP, $455 billion. And their GDP growth, it's the inflation rate's outpacing GDP, unfortunately. I mean, it was doing okay during the 2010s, or late 2010s at least. I mean, COVID screwed it up for everybody. Anyway, that's Asia's debt to GDP. So it's Bangladesh compared to the other countries. Bangladesh is among the lowest, at least with those countries. Got banking and finance information. Again, this is on GFMAG, globalfinancemag.com. And leading companies. Wait, what was this? Okay, leading companies. So we got banks and steel, high-tech industries, and major trade partners for import, United States at 19.4%. And they got Germany, the UK, Spain, France, the West. And then for export, they've got China, India, Singapore, Hong Kong, Indonesia, the East. And that's basically about it for that page. And then going over here, so this is a conversion rate. So going by $1 US, that converts over to 122 dollars, I guess, 122.13 Bangladeshi taka. So yeah, so if you make like 50,000 US, or if you took 50,000 US with you, I mean, you'd have yourself 6.1 million Bangladeshi taka dollars, or whatever you want to call it. And so I'll go over here to Numbeo, or Numbeo.com. And this is the cost of living in Bangladesh. So to afford, and I've got this in USD, you can actually use it in any kind of currency that you want. Just, if you're coming from a different area, you're bringing a different type of currency that you're used to. So at an inexpensive restaurant, you'd pay about $1.64. So that's very reasonable. That's dirt cheap, actually. If you got a domestic, let's see, non-alcoholic. Who drinks non-alcoholic beer? Cappuccino, $1.85. I leave that a 12 ounce. I mean, small bottle / can. It's only 30 cents for a Coke. That's dirt cheap. 16 cents for a bottle of water, small bottle. 2.77 for milk. That's almost exactly what I pay for milk. I mean, I shop Aldi, so milk that I buy, it's about $2.80 a gallon. Let's see, bread, 54 cents. Everything cheap, cheap, cheap. I mean, of course, like what was the average income? Like 10,000 a year. So I mean, it's got to be cheap, otherwise nobody'd be able to eat anything. So gas, $3.89 a gallon, so that's more than it is here. So your basic utilities for a 915 square foot apartment is only $29.72 a month. That is very cheap. Mobile phone plan with 10 gigabytes of data or more, only $5 a month. That is really good. That's a very good deal. $14.52 for high-speed internet, also not bad at all. I mean, yeah. So I guess if you wanted to take like 6 figures worth of income, like in USD, you brought over like a couple $100,000 or something, you probably could like legitimately probably live, I don't know, a couple decades in Bangladesh and not have to work a day. 1-bedroom apartment in the city center, you're looking at about $93 a month. Still so cheap, man. That's like, what, about $1,100 a year that you'd be paying for a 1-bedroom apartment. And I mean, 3-bedroom, I mean, it's substantially more, but it's still extremely cheap compared to living in the West. The average monthly net salary, that comes down to about $240.29. And again, that's in USD. So, so just to point this out, this country on this webpage, it had 3,723 entries in the last 12 months by 317 different contributors. So these numbers are updated by people who apparently live there. So, I mean, I figured that should be said. And then we've got crime in Bangladesh. The only thing that was low on this list of crimes is the worry of being subjected to physical attack because of your skin color or ethnic origin, gender, or religion. It's probably because, I mean, probably 98%, and I don't know the exact number, but I'm sure almost 100% of people in Bangladesh are Bangladeshi. So, I know like in India, there's multiple different types of religions. I know there's areas of India where they don't coexist too well, and there's areas where they do coexist perfectly fine. So, I mean, maybe Bangladesh is similar to that. I'm not totally for sure, honestly. I haven't read up on it, but safety in Bangladesh, it's moderate if you're walking alone during the day, and it's not very safe when you're walking alone during the nighttime. I guess, yeah, so if the value is 0, it means that it is perceived as very low, like the lowest rate probably in the world. And if the value is 100, it means it's perceived as the highest in the world. So we're looking at 51. So yeah, it's about average during the day, but yeah, at night it's not looking too safe. Being in Bangladesh, walking by yourself, or being out on your own out at night. So one of the most recent things that happened in Bangladesh news-wise, this comes out of the Daily Star or the dailystar.net. Bangladesh and Japan, their ties deepen as Tokyo pledges budget support and eyes EPA, not the EPA that you're familiar with if you're here in America. But so the chief advisor, Mohammed Yunus's recent visit to Tokyo, according to foreign policy and trade analysts. So he had a recent visit to Tokyo, the chief advisor in Bangladesh. During the trip, Japan agreed to provide Bangladesh with budgetary support alongside loans and grants worth $1 billion, while 8 other memoranda of understanding were signed covering human resource development, worker recruitment, the business environment, and factory setups in the Bangladesh Special Economic Zone. Okay, so they're talking about setting up more factories, which to me sounds like more pollution. I don't know if that might have been on their list of things that they should be covering. It certainly should be. So the chief advisor and his Japanese counterpart, Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, also committed to signing an economic partnership agreement There it is. Economic Partnership Agreement. That's the EPA. In the coming months, an indication of Tokyo's eagerness to relocate factories here under its China Plus One strategy. Let's see. Quote, since independence, Japan has been the largest development partner of Bangladesh. It wants to relocate many more factories here, but faces different forms of bottlenecks. That's also true in the case of recruiting workers to Japan, said Abdallah Al Mamoon, associate professor of Japanese studies in the University of Dhaka. Since 1972, Tokyo has provided more than $24 billion in loans and grants for infrastructure products in Bangladesh. More than 350 Japanese companies currently operate in Bangladesh. I think that was all I had. Yeah, that was it. I mean, there's more material to read. I'll link this in the description. And over here, let's see. I don't know if I actually... Oh, yeah. So I got a little info on the climate because they didn't really cover any of that. It straddles the Tropic of Cancer, and Bangladesh's climate is tropical with a mild winter from October to March and a hot, humid summer from March to June. The country has never recorded an air temperature below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, with a record low of 34 in the northwest city of Dinajpur on February 3rd of 1905. Damn. A warm and humid monsoon season lasts from June to October and supplies most of the country's rainfall. Natural calamities such as floods, tropical cyclones, and tornadoes, and tidal bores occur almost every year, combined with the effects of deforestation, soil degradation, and erosion. The cyclones of 1970 and 1991 were particularly devastating, the latter killing approximately 140,000 people. Holy shit. So, yeah, so that's the info on there. And as far as where Bangladesh ranks among the world's poorest countries, is it in the top 10? It is not in the top 10 poorest countries. In fact, it's not in the top 20 or even in the top 30. We'll have to keep scrolling down. Is it in the top 50? It is not. It actually finds itself as the number 61 spot. Bangladesh is the 61st when it comes to the list of poorest to richest. So it's 61 countries away from being the poorest country. And according to this list, the GDP, PPP per capita in dollars, in US dollars, is 9,416. So that's not exactly the number that they gave us in the cost of living, unless that wasn't per capita. But I believe I read in here that it was like 10,000, something like that, right? I think I'm like looking right at it. But yeah, so, well, yeah, average monthly. So anyway, that's it, man. That's Bangladesh. That's a wild country, man. Heavily polluted. Compared to Bangladesh, I mean, people in the West, even if you make the median income, if you're like dead center in the middle class, even if you're renting, if you don't own your own house, or if you're like leasing a car, if you're kind of in that whole you're not really owning anything, but you're trying to be happy anyway. You know, the whole World Economic Forum outlook as to where they want humans to be by the year 2030. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. But even if you're in that camp, if you're living in the West, you're compared to other regions in the world, probably in most countries in the world, you're actually living pretty damn good. And I don't know, I guess, I mean, it's easier said than done to just say, dude, just take a chill pill. Just sit back. The glass is half full. Everything's going to be all right. It's not as bad as it seems. It could be way worse. You know, you could step outside and breathe literally toxic air, or you could turn on your faucet and actual chemicals mixed in with the water could be filling up your cup that you have to drink from. You know, like, things could be way worse. I mean, we've got trash pickup here. We've got clean water. We've got clean air. At least in the West we do, in most of the West at least. So I guess just take a breather, just relax, just know that, things are all right. I mean, if you really want to go next level, try to see if you could do your part to try to help out Bangladesh in some way or another. I wouldn't even begin to know how you could even start figuring that out. I mean, even down in the cultural level, I mean, look, you could try to change the country all you want, but the people have to want to change too. And I mean, I'm sure they would want to as long as there was enough effort to do so, but I don't even know how to go about fixing that issue. But hopefully they'll get their whole pollution thing under control soon. I mean, all that water's got to go somewhere, and I'm sure it's all dumping out into the Bay of Bengal, out into the Indian Ocean. And that's not going to be good for anybody, obviously. So, anyway, that's all I got, man. Bangladesh. See you later.